give you guys a comparison between our 990 and our Deere 9700. So our 990 has 925 horsepower and Deere has 755 horsepower. They're both V12s. I'll show you up close. The 990 has a V12 and it's a man engine. The Deere is a V12 and it's a Libar. I don't know if I pronounce it, but you guys understand. The problem, we've had accelerator bearings go out, we had metal detector problems, and it's always a smooth roll that magnetizes, and one occasion we had the bottom roll magnetized. The bushings in the back for the axle, they're good for about 500 hours. We've had a front wheel come off. I don't know if that was our fault or the dealer's. For the 9700, we've had 2 accelerator bearings go out. We've had the housing for the thermostat get pinholes in it. It's had more def problems than our 990 has had, and it's had a lot more electrical issues than our 990. So I would say Deere, there's a lot more electrical problems with. So our 9700, it has a 40 knife drum, and let me show you how the KP and the grass chutes work. So on the Deere, the KP and the grass chute swivels in and out. So you have a deal that cranks it. It's pretty easy, and it's I would think it's simpler than the claas until you start having problems with the tracks and the grass chute not lining up correctly, and you keep plugging up. So I would say even though the claas is a little more pain in the ass, I prefer it. Less moving parts. And also with the Deeres, they actually have a crane and a winch that picks the KP up and swings out and sets on the ground. So I do give that to Deere, and it's a lot easier than with claas. We have a big old cherry picker that comes in, and it works. It's just not as simple as this. But this is more moving parts to go wrong, and eventually this thing will fail. So also on these Deeres, you got the little gearbox on the left-hand side, and then the big gearbox on the right-hand side. It's opposite of the claas. But we hardly have any issues of the seals going out and leaking oil, unlike claas. It seems like that little gearbox on the right-hand side on the claas is always leaking oil. You rebuild it, it leaks 2 days later. So that's, I give Deere, they do have a better setup. So with our claas, our 990, I'll show you how the KP works. So right here where the KP goes in the claas, there is not much room. I wish they would have gave us a couple more inches. That's what we all say, right? But anyways, there's a track on here, and you get your ratchet, and you ratchet it in, and that's how you install the KP. But you take the KP all the way back as far as you can, and to put that grass chute in, usually you're cussing and wishing that you could see a claas engineer so you can whoop its butt. I don't want to cuss and get in trouble. But yeah, so I prefer the Deere has more room, but I like there's less moving parts putting the KP in for the claas. So with our 990s, we have 24 knives, but we also have one out of our 4 990s has a 28 knife drum. So I can't tell the difference besides having to put on 4 more knives. It's a pain in the ass at night. But other than that, I prefer putting the knives on the claas. It's a lot easier and a lot quicker. We could do a set of knives, taking them off and cleaning them in a little over an hour. With the Deeres, it takes us about 4 hours to do a complete set. So in the 990 and the 9700 cab, I prefer the claas handle. It's a lot easier, it's a lot simpler, and your hand just rests on it. It feels natural. The Deere, it's kind of bulky. I don't really like it, but I do like the Deere how it has the pegs to put your feet. It makes it a little more comfortable sitting there. Other than that, the visibility is great in both machines, even though we have the windows tinted, but we have a lot of lights so we can see at night. So on our 990s, one of the biggest problems, and we almost lost the machine caused to a fire, is this bracket right here. It's the main belt tensioner. It snaps right here and breaks the bolt, and we almost had a machine burned down earlier in corn. Luckily the operator got out and put the fire out. But Claas did update this. They made the bracket more bulkier, and we haven't had a problem since. So at least they realized they had a problem and they fixed it. So at the end of the day, if I had to pick between Claas and Deere, I would pick Claas. And I know that this isn't the biggest machine that Deere makes, so I can't compare how much this one chops compared to that one, but I can tell you the durability of both. And we've had them both tore down to the frame, and I would say we have put more work into Deere than we have to our Claas. So at the end of the day, they're both great machines. They both break down, and I would say consider your dealer. We are very lucky to have a great Deere dealer and a great Claas dealer that will come out any time of the day and night and make sure it's ready if we have a major problem or if they're under warranty. So I would say if you had to pick the one that has the best dealer, and if you have both great dealers, I'd go with Claas. But that's just my opinion.